This is Linux Lite 4.0. It's based on Ubuntu 18.04 with the Xfce desktop with a number of enhancements provided by the Linux Lite developers. Let me first share a few screenshots which show how I installed this on an external hard drive. This is the screen that greets you when you first boot into the Linux Lite live session. The first thing I'm going to do is click on the Network Manager applet and connect to my Wi-Fi. To enter my password, and then click on Connect. Now I'm going to close the Welcome screen and double-click on Install Linux Lite. The installation language is English. Click on Continue. Keyboard is English US. Click on Continue. Download updates while installing Linux is already checked. I'm going to check Install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware and additional media formats also. And then click on Continue. Now the installation type defaults to erase Ubuntu 18.04 and reinstall. That's because I have Ubuntu Mate on my internal drive, and Linux Lite is also based on Ubuntu 18.04. But I'm going to click on something else and then continue. This is the partitioner. The first thing I'm going to do is go down to the bottom and select a location for the bootloader. There's a drop-down menu, and I'm going to select Device SDC, which is the master boot record of my external hard drive. Now I'm going to click on Free Space, and then click on Plus. I have 828,102 megabytes of space left over. I'm going to change the size of the partition to 160,000 megabytes. Now it defaults to a logical partition. Actually, I have room for one more primary partition because I'm only using 2 primary partitions so far. But I'm going to leave it at logical. And I'm going to mount it at /, which is root. And then click on OK. Even though Ubuntu 18.04, and therefore Linux Lite 4, does not use a swap partition by default, it will grab onto any swap partition that already exists. However, just to show you what will happen, I'm going to click on Install Now. And this is what I get. The following partitions are going to be formatted. Partition number 2 of SDC as swap, and partition number 5 of SDC as ext4. That's not what I want, so I'm going to go back. Now I'm going to point to that swap partition and click on Change. It's going to be used as a swap area by default, but I'm going to use the drop-down menu and choose Do Not Use the Partition, and then click on OK. Since the existing swap partition is on SDC2, there's probably no great harm in using it, although I don't know whether it would prevent my existing installation of Manjaro from using it at the same time, so this is just a precaution. So I'm going to click on Install Now, and now you see that it's no longer going to use the swap partition. The only partition that's going to be formatted is partition number 5 of SDC as ext4. So I'm going to click on Continue. Since I'm connected to the internet, it's identified my time zone correctly. I'm going to click on Continue. Now, this is one place where Linux Lite differs from plain old Ubuntu. Linux Lite chooses a name by default, and it chooses Linux Lite. Normally, this is left blank. In any case, I suggest you change this to whatever your name is. I think there's a slight danger in having several people logged in under the same name. So change this one way or the other, whether it's blank or not. So I'm going to change it to XRAM Tech, and it also changes my username. I'm going to enter a password and then enter it again. Login automatically is unchecked, and require my password to log in is checked by default, so I'm going to leave those and click on Continue. Now it's installing, and in real life you would see a long succession of these slides extolling the virtues of Linux Lite, but I'm not going to show all of those. When it's through installing, you'll see this. Installation has finished. You can continue testing Linux now, but until you restart the computer, any changes you make or documents you save will not be preserved. Then you have a choice to restart now or continue testing. And normally I would restart now, but I'm going to click on Continue Testing because I have all of these screenshots saved to the Pictures folder, and I have to upload those to the cloud so that I can download them again in my internal distribution, in my internal system to make this video. If you did click on Restart Now, you'd be asked to remove the installation medium and press Enter. Then you'd be given an opportunity to reboot into the new system. And now we're back into the installed system. Just to take a quick look at this welcome screen, these first 4 items here all lead to the same place, and that is the startup guide. And if you scroll down, you'll see that you get to the same 4 steps. So if you click on this button, you'll install updates. Enter my password. I'm going to click on Update Now. This may take a while. No, I wouldn't like to view the Linux Lite updates log. So I'm going to scroll down, Install Drivers. So I'll click on that. I'm only aware of one proprietary driver that I have, and that's not always detected. And it isn't detected here either. That's the Intel driver for the Intel CPU. I'm not going to set a restore point. What that refers to is that Linux Lite allows you to take a snapshot of your entire system and save it to either the internal drive or an external drive. And if you want to restore the system, you can go back and reinstall that entire saved image. I don't really do that. It's so easy to reinstall Ubuntu that I back up my data frequently, so that doesn't really do much for me, but it's available if you want it. Now I'm going to install language support. I'm not sure what I need that I don't already have. Not all languages are supported yet with Linux Lite. Setting your language. Well, these are just instructions. This doesn't really do anything. So I'm going to get out of this. Remind me later. Now upgrading, it's a little early for that. This new version just came out. It says that each series of Linux Lite lasts for 2 years, and it's based off the long-term support versions of Ubuntu. Since Ubuntu 18.04 just came out, there's really no point in trying to upgrade now. So I'm going to close this, and I lost the entire welcome screen. See if I can get it back. Linux Lite welcome. So you have online support, the help manual, forums, hardware database. Let's see what that's like. Again, all these things lead to the same place, and you can scroll down. So here's the hardware database. And there are 13,065 computer configurations uploaded to the hardware database to date. And I'm not going to go through all of them. Or for that matter, any of them. So is there any way I can go back without losing the welcome screen entirely? So all these things are in one place, and I take it with contribute, it's similar. You can contribute code, you can donate, you can shop, and then you can access social media. Now I'm going to uncheck show this dialog on startup, and then I'm going to close. Now the first thing I want to do is to get rid of all those icons on the desktop. So I'm going to right click. Let me try desktop settings. Left click. First I'm going to go over here to icons. I'm going to use this drop-down menu where it says file launcher icons. And here I have the option of none. So I'm going to click on that, and suddenly the icons are gone. Now, if I go back here to background, there's a choice of a number of different good-looking backgrounds. Of course, a lot of Linux Lite theme backgrounds. You can't see that. And of course you can get other backgrounds too. I think I'm going to leave it on this one for now. So let's take a look at what's in the menu. For one thing, this is the Whisker menu, and for change, It's turned around the way I like it, with the categories on the left and the details on the right. There's only one thing I don't like about the way it's set up, and that is that some of these things are given a sort of generic name. For instance, if I go to Office, I know this is LibreOffice, but it says New Document, New Presentation, New Spreadsheet. So I'm going to change that by right-clicking on the menu, clicking on Properties, and where it says Show Generic Application Names, I'm going to leave that unclicked. I'm going to unclick Show Category Names, and I'm also going to unclick Show Application Descriptions, and then I'm going to click on Close. Oops, I lost my left-hand column entirely. So let me go back to the drawing board. I'm going to right-click on the menu, and I'm going to click on Show Category Names. Now, Show Generic Application Names was unchecked. I'm going to check it just to see what happens now. So when I go to Office, it doesn't say open a new document, but it does say word processor, presentation, spreadsheet, PDF viewer, etc. I don't like this at all. Let me see what I can do. Right-click on the menu again, Properties. I'm going to uncheck Show Generic Application Names. There's nothing under Behavior that I want to change. So let me try again, see what happens. Click on Office. Nope. I can't get this to show that it's actually LibreOffice, which is extremely annoying. This is one case where they've themed a little bit too much the way they want it and not the way I would have it. However, getting over that, if I click on my computer, I have File, System, Home, Documents, Downloads, Music, Pictures, Public, Templates, Videos, in other words, the whole file system. So I'm going to click on the next one, Settings, About Me, Accessibility, Appearance, Bluetooth Adapters, Bluetooth Manager, Desktop, Disks, has GNOME Disks, which I like, Display, configure the screen settings, File Manager, Firewall Configuration, iBus Preferences, Install drivers, keyboard, language support, Lite Locker settings, Lite DM GTK plus greeter settings. And this is another case where the Whisker menu makes you scroll down. Even if you extend it all the way to the top, you still have to scroll down. Lite Auto Login, Lite Desktop, Lite Info, Lite Network, Shares, Lite Software. Let me go to this one for a minute. Enter my password. No, I wouldn't like to update the software sources now. I'm content. Now click on the task, install software or remove software. So I want to install software and click on OK. Now this gives you a subset of available software, things that you could easily install but are not installed. I actually didn't use this for anything, but I could have. Quit. So this is one of the Lite applications under Settings. Lite software, Lite sounds. It now has system sounds, and you can configure those. Lite sources. I'm going to select repository sources. Authenticate. Well, this is a multinational CDN type repository, and that means that it automatically chooses the strongest source all the way around the world, so I could continue to use that. Or I could use USA default, and actually I'm going to do that. First, I'm going to check repository status. Press any key to continue. Looks like they're all online. So anyway, use selected repository. Switching mirror, please wait. Updating cache, please wait. Okay. So where were we in settings? We were at Lite sources, Lite system report, Lite tweaks, Lite updates, notify. It lets you determine how frequently you want to be notified of updates. Lite upgrade, again, you don't need to worry about that, just upgrade it. Lite user manager, you can select new users. Lite welcome, of course, we looked at that. The menu editor, it uses Menu Libre to edit the menu, very useful if you want. The MIME type editor, mouse and touchpad, network connections, notifications, panel, power manager. These things keep slipping out of my grasp. Power manager, preferred applications, printers, removable drives and media, session and startup, settings editor, settings manager, software and updates. Another way of configuring sources. Time and date. Oh, the other one was mirror. This one is sources. And it has canonical supported free and open source software main, community maintained free and open source software universe, proprietary drivers for devices restricted, software restricted by copyright or legal issues, multiverse, other software, canonical partners. There's a few PPAs here. The GIMP PPA, it has GIMP 2.10, whereas Ubuntu 18.04 has GIMP 2.8. Now, I added the PPA for Simple Screen Recorder. Quite to my surprise, Simple Screen Recorder was not in the repository, even though it is in the Ubuntu 18.04 repositories normally. I'm not sure what this one is. I don't want to mess with it. So I'm going to close that and go back again to settings. And see where I left off. Time and date. Notice that the time is given in a 12-hour clock. I'd probably change that to add the date also, but I like the 12-hour clock better than the 24-hour clock. Window Manager tweaks workspaces. I think that's just about it. On to accessories. It has the Application Finder, the Archive Manager, Backups, Calculator, File Search, Fonts, Home Folder, Screenshot, and the Text Editor. And of course it wouldn't tell you what it is, but you can find out by going to Help About, and it's LeafPad. So where was I? I was under Accessories, and I guess I was through with Accessories. Graphics, it has GIMP, and it's GIMP 2.10. I have this on my Manjaro installation also, but in Ubuntu 18.04 it's still 2.8. Doesn't seem to want to go to doesn't seem to want to get bigger at all. This is not good. Anyway, I'll worry about that later. As with the Manjaro installation, I did not like these clunky looking icons, but you can change those as I point out. So back to graphics. Has the image viewer and scanner. Again, it doesn't tell me which one, but we'll live with that. With internet, it has Firefox, network connections, support, and Thunderbird Mail. Under multimedia, it has A, CD, and DVD burner, which one you'll have to find out the hard way. It does have VLC Media Player, and I'll give them credit for that. It's my favorite one. It has the Pulse Audio volume control, and I might want to point out this is also integrated into the panel down here. You get the ability to control your microphone and your speaker, etc., without having to go into Pulse Audio volume control separately. So now, and as I say, I added Simple Screen Recorder, but much to my surprise, I had to add it with the PPA. I still haven't gotten to the bottom of that problem. Under Office, again, you'll have to guess whether these are LibreOffice or not, but they are. And it's version 6.0.3.2, very close to the latest one. But it doesn't have the full LibreOffice suite. It just has documents, presentations, and spreadsheets. You can download the rest of them if you want. And it has a PDF viewer, but it doesn't tell you which one, of course. System, it has install remove software. Now this install remove software turns out to be Synaptic Package Manager. And this is the one I prefer. Now, if you want a super graphical software manager like GNOME Software, I'm not sure if it's available. Here we are, Software Center for GNOME. Looks like you can add that if you want to. Let's try that. right click and then left click on Mark for installation. Mark. Go up here to Apply. Apply. So GNOME software is theoretically installed. Let's take a look. So here's GNOME software. So if you want this, you can get it, even though it isn't installed by default. Now it has the Ntfs configuration tool. That's for the Windows file system. Something called partition drives. It's gparted. I'm not going to run it now. I wish they just let you know what it is. This business of describing something instead of giving you its actual name is probably great for new users, but it's not great for people who are looking for specific applications. Configure printers, resource usage. As expected, Linux Lite is very light. Remember, I have Simple Screen Recorder going, and it's using 723 megabytes of memory. I think it was around 359 without anything going. System information, information about your hardware. System log, it has an exclamation point. I don't know what that's for. Task manager, it has the regular task manager in addition to resource usage. And time shift, this is the application which comes in Ubuntu 18.04 in place of System Back for making a duplicate of your entire system. It has the Xfce Terminal, which is the only one it comes with right now, and that replaces the LX terminal that it used to have, and software, one I just installed. And if you want to see the settings all over again, you can go down here to this little symbol, whatever it is, and you get all the settings. If I were going to reconfigure this, I'd probably add a second panel. I'd move this one to the top, add a second panel, add 2 more workspaces, move the window list and the workspaces to the bottom, but I'm not going to go through that now. You can look on some of my earlier videos and see plenty of examples on how to reconfigure Xfce. That's a quick look at Linux Lite. This is XRAM Tech. Thanks for watching.